Distinguished Chairman, dear friends, dear colleagues, welcome. Examination of PISA mathematics literacy performances of talented students. My presentation is composed of the introduction, the research target, the method we used for our research, the group, the data collection tools, the findings, discussion and result, and recommendations. A definition used in the literature for talented or intelligence have been picked in 15th of January in 2013, and afterwards in all the legislations and directives of Ministry of National Education, well, the Turkish terminology have been changed and the picked terminology have been used. 5% of the community is composed of people who need special education. And 2.27% of that is composed of talented students. According to Sreman, the number of the students who need special education about mathematics are quite limited. Well, Renzulli, by the way, we had a Skype connection with Renzulli. Well, according to Renzulli, the being talented should have 3 pillars: motivation, creativity, general and special talents. If you're going to be successful on 3 areas, these 3 areas should be related. Without motivation, without creativity, or without the general and special skills, you cannot achieve high level of success. And Renzulli says that the talented students have 3 of those components, and talented students are more successful than their peers by 85%. Special students, talented students are more successful in any one of those pillars by more than 85%. So we cannot ignore the creativity of the talented students. Well, we shouldn't put these children in an isolated environment, and we shouldn't let them bloom by themselves and fade away by themselves. For talented students to have a better mathematics skills, what should be done? Well, there are many tools that are mentioned. Well, yes, the skills and intelligence are improved and should be improved, but we are losing time. Where is maths? Because math skills equals to math creativity, but we have to support it. We picked our students, we created BILSAM centers, we tried to reach the international standards, we created the strategy plans. However, we have to fill it in, we have to feed it. How can we improve the math skills for these students? This is our aim. This is how we set sail. As Professor Maker mentioned yesterday, the complex problem-solving skills compose the core of talented students. So we have to expose our students to complex problems to see their performances. And in math classes, we should ask them open-ended questions or open-ended problems, creative problems. And in Professor Maker's presentation yesterday, there was a question: PISA mathematics literacy or PISA questions, do they work for the complex problem solving? Well, we are asking for this. We are looking for the answer of this question. Well, when assessing the economic policies of many countries, PISA applications are referred to. So PISA values are used as referring values. And in the previous professor's speech, there was a referral. He was referring to the PISA as well, and by one other professor talked before. Again, he referred to PISA. So PISA is quite valuable. 15-year-old students' science and math literacy levels are measured by, and international language skills are measured by PISA examinations. What is the role of mathematics literacy? By maths literacy, what do we mean? Students, individuals, real life problems. Students should understand the real life problems, and they should use the mathematical capacities while doing so. PISA 2000 applications. Well, there have been some categorization. The quality, space, and shape are amongst the groups categorized, and individually, on community basis and professional basis, and scientific basis. There are 4 bases, and there is a mathematical processes they created, and they also mention some skills underneath. But it was seen that these criteria and these differentiation was not enough, and then the mathematical procedures were classified, formalizing the mathematics, execution, and assessment. These are the new classifications.
Bu sınıflandırma getirdikten sonra öğrencilerin performanslarını bu sınıflandırma.
Well, these classifications are used for assessing the students' performances, and the questions for the PISA are real-life questions. They are routine mathematical questions. They are not mathematical and routine questions. They are non-routine questions, and they should be associated with real life. Complex problems are included, and diverse information resources are associated with PISA questions. So, in advanced level, analysis, synthesis, and assessment levels have certain questions involved. A target of our study, 8th, 9th grade students, mathematical literacy performances were to be analyzed, and their problems were to be analyzed as well. So, I have a few questions here, but I will mention them in detail soon. We use the special situation study method. There are quantity and quality based assessment methods here. Therefore, we had deep analysis needs, and we had some clinical interview requirements. This is why we picked this methodology. Well, the working group is composed of 11 8th grade and 1 9th grade students, so 12 gifted students in total in from Bursa province. Someone from Gaziantep yesterday had 142 students, and we asked him, well, it is quite kind of impossible. It looks kind of impossible to reach more than 140 students for arts and science centers, because they most of the time focus on examination processes, and they quit coming to those centers. This is why we have only 12 people. We could never gather 12 students. 2 students or 3 students were gathered We could never gather them all together.
Toplama aracı olarak PISA matematik okuryazarlığı
As a data collection tool, we used 7 questions that are developed by PISA mathematics literacy experts. One is, well, 5 are open-ended questions and the other ones are questions with options. And since 2000, we have seen these questions in the literature, like the carpenter question, the best car 1, the best car 2 questions. And we also use the oil leakage selling newspaper questions. Well, these are not used very much in the literature, but they are more categorized and they compose the 6th level of questions. So we think that the performances of the gifted students should be assessed in this regard as well. So we had a balanced distribution of questions. And then we assessed the questions in line with the rubrics of the PISA. But the student answers, of course, required more analysis because we want to detect the challenging areas for the students. We applied it and the results of the study. You can see the graphic here. Best car 1 and best car 2 questions showed the best answers, and it is 12 correct questions for 12 students for best car 1, best car 2, oil leakage and selling newspaper 3 questions were the most challenging questions for these students, and we were looking for weaknesses and challenges. So we want to see the challenges and weaknesses for these students, so we looked into depth. Oil leakage is a scientific question in space and content. It has a space and content association. Oil leakage question is extraordinary. It is involving synthetic geometrics. So the student will draw a square here or rectangular or some linear, or can use some geometric shapes or linear shapes. So we want to see the ability to do this. So we are saying the petrol tank leaked, the oil tank leaked 60 kilometers offshore. What is the area that gets dirty? One says synthetic geometry. One uses synthetic geometry method and just create squares and reaches the correct answer. But when we look at the other answer, they only focused on 65 kilometer offshore information. They tried to create answer using this method, but they couldn't reach the correct answer. Student 8 focused on 1 centimeter, which is given on the map scale, and the land measurement size is kilometers, but the student uses centimeter instead of kilometer squares and gives the wrong answer. You have finished your time. I can give you 5 extra more minutes because one of the speakers is not here.
Bu öğrencilerimizle mülakat yaptığımız zaman gördük ki
when we asked them how they solved it, they said, I reasoned it, I've seen some similar problems in the past, and some people said they haven't seen such a problem before, and some said, well, this is something new for them. The other problematic question was selling newspapers 3 question. This was about defining the correct mathematical models. This was the second most challenging question. The equations and graphics that are related to real life were challenging for such students. Well, carpenter question. Student 8 answers it correctly. Student 3 answers it wrongly because only focuses on the shapes and takes A and C as circumference, but B and C are perceived as area. So in well-settled questions, the performances of the gifted students can also change. So the best questions are car 1, the best car 1, and the best car 2 questions. Well, everything was quite straightforward and clear in these questions. There were data, they knew the concept, they could use the math questions and math data, and they could reach the answer. They didn't have to create anything here, but with the oil leakage question, well, they needed to do something extra. They had to use their creativity, and most of them couldn't do it actually, so they were challenged. So as a result, the gifted students included in our study were challenged in solving the problems with hidden details, but all the problems which had clear data could be solved easily and successfully by those students. Recommendations. In real life students, if there are no mathematic data given, then the students can be challenged. So we should include such questions into the curriculum. So the questions should be qualified. They should have more than one answers. And it's not only enough that they're open-ended. We have mathematic applications and implementations questions, and there are questions from PISA applications, but we should encourage students and teachers to use these questions. For 5th, 6th, 7th grades, the mathematic application questions should be used and students will benefit from them. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.